Have you ever wondered if there's actually a way to make a man fall deeply in love with you? Isn't it wild how some women are able to effortlessly capture a man's heart without even trying? Or are they? Well, what if I told you there's a real secret formula of how to make a man fall in love that some women are using in secret? But if you learn what that formula is, then couldn't you make men just as obsessed with you? Which is why in today's video, I'll be sharing with you a complete step-by-step guide that will cover the entire formula that you'll use to make a man fall in love with you. And finally, you'll be the woman who has men worshiping you, crawling on glass for you, paying for your farts in a jar while other women stare at you and wonder what it is about you that makes the men go so crazy. Point number one is about the approach. One of the easiest mistakes to make is when you're in a crowd of people or when you're at a social event, the guy that walks in that you like, you almost want to hide from because you don't want him to see you or notice you because you're like, oh my God, that's the actual guy I like. If he sees me or notices me, that's going to make me really shy and really insecure. But that's a mistake. See, if that guy is primed and ready to be the man that falls in love with you, we can't really get him to fall in love with you if he doesn't notice you. We've got to put you in the spotlight. What does putting you in the spotlight really look like? Putting you in the spotlight looks like putting you in a position where he can actually make eye contact with you. He can actually admire you. He can actually say to himself, that girl's really attractive. She looks like she's having a good time. She's smiling. She's having fun with her friends. I want to approach her. So ironically, even though this point is about the approach, we're not actually talking about his approach to you. We're talking about setting up the right environment for him to eventually approach you. Remember, we need him to be primed here. So you're setting yourself up for success by putting yourself in what we call his line of sight. Now, if you're someone on the shorter side, let me give you some advice here. You want to put yourself in a place where you're either well lit, so that more spotlight can be on you, so to speak, right? Or you want to put yourself in a position where even despite the fact that you're a little bit short, there's enough clear space that he could still catch your eye, okay? Something simple for all of you to be thinking about. If you can't see his eyes from where you are, whether you're short, tall, or medium height, then there's a good chance you're not in the right place for him to be able to approach you. You're going to have to adjust where you and your friends are. You're going to have to adjust where you're hanging out, or maybe your dance spot, whatever the case may be, in order for you to put yourself in his line of sight. Point number two is about putting yourself in his path in a strategic way that makes it look like it was an accident. See, what you want to understand very quickly when you meet a man is what are his patterns of behavior? Because learning his patterns of behavior will give you an understanding of his natural routines, his daily and weekly routines, his monthly routines, the things that he likes to do. Now what you can do, this is very we don't tell anyone about this. As you begin to learn about his patterns of behavior, whether it be directly or indirectly, meaning whether you learn it from him directly or you learn it from his friends or you learn it from his coworkers, however you learn or gather that information, we can do something strategic where we accidentally put you in the same areas, the same places, the same spaces as him, where he is the one coming across you in a way that feels very organic to him. Because we need to prime him to feel like when he finally chose to approach you, whether it be the very first time that he saw you at that club or bar, like in the example I gave earlier, or whether it be after a while of seeing you at the same, let's just say, cafe that he always sees you at 9 a.m., right? Whatever it may be is the way that he is continuously coming across you, or the way that you end up in his line of sight all the time, that he finally ends up asking you out or asking you on a date or asking for your number. We want to make sure that he feels like this came from his own choice and his own intrigue and interest in you, that he made a decision to say, hey, she's my vibe. She's attractive to me. I want to get to know her. And if you want personal relationship advice from me, head down to the link in my description, click where it says private relationship advice, and you'll be able to type out and send a question into me. Then I'll respond with an 8 to 10 minute voice message, giving you very detailed and specific advice on your situationship or relationship with a man. Point number three is about emotional availability. Emotional availability is so important to identify even as you begin starting to get to know the man that you're dating, because you want to identify very quickly and early on, is his heart full of all of these other things like sadness, lovers, trauma, heartbreak, feelings for someone else, not you? Or is his heart open? What I mean by open is he open to the idea of falling in love? Does he believe that love is even in the cards for him? Because you'll meet some people and you'll meet some men and they'll say things like, yeah, I don't even think love is in the cards for me. Or I can't envision myself ever being in love with a woman. I can't envision myself ever being married. I think of myself as a bachelor for my entire life. That's another example of a heart being full. Because still, even if it might not be full with someone else on their mind or on their heart or on their spirit, they're full in the sense that they don't think that love is for them. Point number 4 is about perception. Now we're getting really into the nitty-gritty of your strategy here. See, it's very important that you present yourself, if you're trying to make him fall in love with you, deeply in love with you, that you have a quiet confidence about you, that you don't need his approval. You don't need the approval of any other man. You don't need the approval of any girl or girlfriend. You don't need the approval of Instagram. There is no one that you need approval from except for you, because you know who you are. You're confident in who you are because you know that your happiness comes from within you. This perception of you will be the difference between a man seeing you as valuable and putting you on a pedestal versus a man seeing you as a peasant and putting you below him. You're showing men that the only way for you to have this level of confidence within yourself, this is how they subconsciously take this, is for you to actually have a real value as a human being. Because if you don't need the external validation from other people, then it probably means you have a very clear understanding of the value that you bring to a relationship, to a friendship, to anybody that's going to have access to you, because of the fact that you know who you are on the inside. So how does this perception get built? It gets built in the way that you walk. I know it sounds weird, right? The way that you talk, specifically, listen up, I want you to be very clear. Specifically, the way that you talk about yourself, okay? The things that you say about yourself, the way that you talk about your own life, the way that you talk about other people's interactions with you, the stories that you tell of friendships that you have. When you tell him stories of how other people take advantage of you, when you tell him stories of how friends walk all over you like a doormat, and how people get chance after chance after chance after chance, and you forgive and forgive and forgive, and they use and use and use and take and take and take, his perception of you lowers. Because he doesn't see you as amazing, he sees you as a doormat, because that's what you're presenting yourself as. That doesn't speak towards quiet confidence. When you're constantly speaking towards the fact that you need validation from other people to feel good about what you're wearing, feel good about how your makeup is done, feel good about how your hair is done, right? And I promise you, his perception of you will dwindle and dwindle over the course of time. So be very mindful of how you say things. Point number 5 is about the narrative. So what are some of the key elements of narratives that you want to be in control of? You need to control the narrative of your exes, especially your most recent ex, okay? So what do I mean by that? When you're telling him the story of what you've been through with your ex, very, very, very important. You paint the picture and you frame it in a way where even if he treated you badly, I don't want you coming out and making it seem as if this guy got to walk all over you like a doormat, use you up, shrivel you up, and throw you away. That will not give us the right perception of you. We want to make it look like, hey, I came to my own realization that me and my ex were not aligned. He was not what I wanted, okay? We're always thinking of I. I came to realizations about what is most important to me, what is most valuable to me, what I need in a relationship. And I then realized that he wasn't the type of partner that I wanted to be with anymore. Once I had that realization, there was no going back, right? This is where we kind of get into the breakup here, right? You need to have a narrative control of the breakup. Now, I'm not saying you have to lie. So for example, if the guy broke up with you, I'm not saying you have to lie and say that, you broke up with him instead. But what I want to happen is I want you to paint the narrative that, hey, even though our relationship ended, once I came to the realization, once I was out of it, and I realized what was really transpiring, it became even more clear to me that that guy was not what I needed based on what is most important to me. Once again, we're focusing on your realizations. Once again, we're focusing on the fact that you have clarity. You have understanding. In your clarity and in your understanding, you do not get walked all over, right? Because in the process of you having all of these the breakup and the realizations that you're going to have, you then had growth. You had growth in the way that you allow things to happen or don't allow things to happen. You had growth in the way that you respect yourself. You had growth in your realizations about yourself, about your life, about the way that you want to approach things. You had growth in the way that you carry yourself. You had growth in the places that you hang out, your environments, your friendships. All of the growth that you experience now led into the new you, which is the other thing you want to have a very tight, firm grip on in terms of the narrative about you, okay? That in the process of you going through your growth stage, after your relationships, because everything you learn from, there is nothing that happens to you that you don't learn from. And as you grew, you became a newer, stronger, more intelligent, more powerful, more sexy, more beautiful, more awesome version of yourself. One that would never in a million years date this man, okay, right? This is the narrative we want to paint, right? This new version of you would never entertain the type of relationship that you once had with that ex. I'm not saying that you need to take a poop on all of your exes, even if they treated you well. What I'm saying is, once you get to the point where you say to yourself, okay, I am now, moving forward, and I've learned some things of why that relationship didn't work out, I want you to paint the narrative that once I come to my realizations, once I have more clarity, because I'm always searching for clarity, because I'm always growing, because I'm always developing, because I'm always asking myself questions, because I'm always curious, and I'm always moving forward in progression, never regression, that once I understand what my new needs are, what is newly most important to me, based on that growth, I don't go backwards. Point number 6 is about being seductive. Now, I want to break this down in a deeper way because I know when I say seduction, a lot of you say, well, what does seduction really actually mean in a tangible sense? So magic is mystery. I want you to just take that in for a little bit. Whenever you think of something that is magical, part of the reason it's magical is because it's mysterious. Mysterious, or things that are mysterious, things that have mystery, is also very seductive to you. And I don't just mean in a sense of romance, I also mean seductive in terms of intrigue, in terms of interest. Now, how do we actually get magic and how do we actually get mystery? We get mystery by talking less and asking more. One of the staples that you'll notice on my show whenever I talk to you guys about relationships and men is you always want to come in with a curious spirit, asking a lot of questions, asking a lot of deep questions, which we're going to discuss in a little bit, okay? Making sure that you're a questionnaire whenever you're around him. All you're trying to focus on is learning more and more about him every single day. Every second you meet him, every second you talk to him, every time you're on the phone, every time you're on FaceTime, every time you're in person, you love chatting. None of this listening to music, just vibing, sitting in the car, just no. You want to make a man fall in love with you? You chat. And I mean chat from the standpoint of you asking an abundance of questions, okay? Because in the process of you talking less and asking more, well, I should say in the process of you asking more, you're obviously going to have less room to talk because he's going to be sharing so much. That's automatically creating mystery, right? And this is the easiest way to create mystery for those of you who struggle to be mysterious, okay? You don't have to wear all black like me. You don't have to wear all black and fishnets to be mysterious, okay? You don't have to do anything weird or edgy, as the kids would say, to be mysterious. You can be mysterious simply by being yourself and asking more questions. How do we get magic though? Okay. Magic comes from not trying and then being naive. When I say not trying, let me explain that part first. See, there's nothing wrong with actually trying, but the best part about actually trying is when you tell people you're not trying in a way that's kind of believable, where they're kind of like, oh, maybe you actually don't try. One of the things that makes me think of that whenever I say this, right, is the song by Beyonce. I can't remember the name of the actual song, but you know how she said, I woke up like this, flawless. I think it's called Flawless, right? And she says, I woke up like this, right? The whole point of that song is to make you feel like I came out of bed just like perfection, okay? I didn't have to do any work for it. I didn't have to, do any squats for it. I didn't have to do my hair. Everything you see on me, as beautiful as I look, I woke up like this. That's the same type of energy you want to be giving men, even if you didn't wake up like this. Because what it does is it breeds a lot of confidence out of you. I woke up like this. I'm just like that. I don't need any extras to be that, right? The other thing you want, right, in terms of creating magic within you is the fact that you are naive to how your mystery is playing on his mind, how intriguing you are, because remember, mystery is seduction, and how seductive you are in your approach and in your energy and in your aura. This is going to sound very weird, but when a guy compliments you and says, oh my gosh, you're one of the most interesting women I've ever met. Oh my gosh, I don't know what it is about you that I just can't stop thinking about you. I can't stop, wanting to be around you. I can't stop wanting to spend time with you. See, what I want you to do is at those times where he's almost questioning himself on how you're so magical, how you're so amazing, how you're so awesome, I want you to also ask him, I don't know, what do you think it is? Because honestly, I don't do anything. I just sit here and just be me. Like, I'm really just naturally a curious person. I ask questions. I'm not trying to do anything. Maybe you could explain it to me. Is it something that I've done? Is it something that I said? And even if he says, oh, it's the fact that, when you talk, you just have so much confidence. When you walk, even if he says everything that we talked about in this show that you've been doing that is making him have so much interest in you, that's making you so seductive, you say, oh, that's interesting. I never really thought of that. I don't know what it could be. I really don't really try that hard. I just try and be myself, and that's really all I can be. That's all I really want to be. It's so much more, it's so much more seductive and attractive when men feel like you're literally not doing it on purpose, because it makes it feel like you have magic fairy dust just flowing around you that you don't even have control of, which just makes it more enticing that you don't even have control of your magic fairy dust. It makes you feel so much more magical. And then when you combine that with the mystery of you talking less and asking more questions, now you combine and put yourself in an environment where men want more of you constantly. They want to talk to you more. They want to hang out with you more. They want to be around you more. They want to get to know you more. And this is the perfect place for a man to be able to continuously fall in love with you. So for point number 7, you have to validate men, but you have to do it in a very specific way that will actually trigger the right emotions. See, a lot of women make the mistake of trying to validate men through their words. And that's the worst thing you can possibly do when it comes to guys. Why? Because with men, when you validate them through your words, like saying, oh, you're so attractive, I think you're so handsome, you're the best guy I've ever dated, I've never dated anyone like you, it's too what I call on the nose, meaning that when men receive that, they stop questioning anything about you, anything about what you think, and there stops being an element of mystery to you. Now, I know some of you will say, Tomisin, I'm not mysterious. I don't have a mysterious bone in my body. And I know some of you will say, well, isn't mystery toxic? Why can't I just communicate my feelings? You can't. And I want you to communicate your feelings, but you're going to do it through your body. Okay? Now, let me explain to you why this works so much better for making a man fall in love with you and catch feelings for you. See, when you validate him, meaning tell him and express to him that you like him through your body language, it feels very different because it's something you can almost touch as a man, but you can't quite touch it, so you can't quite be absolutely sure about it. So when a girl is doing things like touching your arm and touching your elbow and smiling at you and looking deep into your eyes and giving you that direct eye contact, as a man, we kind of go to ourselves, no, she definitely likes me. But the fact that you're not saying that you like me makes me still question just a little bit, just enough for there to be a hint of doubt that, am I really reading this right? Am I feeling what I think I'm feeling in my body, in my soul, in my spirit? Or is that just me projecting onto this scene what I think is happening, even though that's not actually happening? Is she just being nice? That little bit of gray area that a man will have in his mind of whether you're just trying to be nice or whether you actually like him is just enough mystery to be enticing, to do what I love to call lean in a little bit, okay? So, like I said, Body validation looks like touching his arm, touching his elbow, laughing at his jokes that aren't really that funny, making sure you're always trying to break the touch barrier. Maybe you put your hand on his chest because the joke's so funny you need him to lean on, whatever the case may be. You're showing all 32 teeth. You're looking at him, looking like you're paying attention and actually care about what he's saying. Being a good listener in the sense of like when he's telling you a story, he can see through your facial reactions, even if you're not actually speaking words, that you're following along with the story. So for example, if you're telling me a story and I'm following along with the emotion of your story, I'm reacting like this silently. That goes a long way, right? Very different, the feeling that you will receive as you're telling me the story than if I just am straight face, right? So very important. Understand how to validate men through your body language. Do not worry about validating them through your words. It's not going to serve you. It's not going to do what you need to do. And it's going to lower your mystery level, so to speak. Okay. Point number 8 is about insecurities, because one thing I don't want you doing is telling a man too early on in this dating or talking stage about your deepest, darkest insecurities, especially the traumatic ones. The reason I drew this kind of like a funnel, so to speak, is because I want you to keep it surface level in terms of what you share about these insecurity of yours. Now, I'll kind of break down these levels that I made up for you, right? We have surface level, things that you would tell someone, even that you just met. Oh, I really hate when people chew bubble gum. That really is one of my pet peeves, right? Things that you would tell your coworkers. Oh, to be honest with you, I've always hated math tests because numbers make me really uncomfortable and sweaty, right? Things like that. More personal things like, oh, to be honest, I don't really have the best relationship with my brother and me and him don't really get along well, right? Those type of things. Then you have deeper pains. Like, oh, you know, one of the things that I hated that my mother did to me, one time I came home and I told her something that was really deep and she promised not to tell my dad, and then she went and told my dad anyways. Then we have traumatic events in your life, things that you're deeply insecure about, events in your life that have shaped you in ways that you almost cry every time you express this thing or this pain in your life or this insecurity of yours because of how deeply personal it is. If someone attacks that of you, you will cry on the spot, okay? We all have things that are deep and traumatic to us. Nothing wrong with that. But what you must understand, when you start dating a man, it is not the time to be sharing with him this level of trauma right from the beginning. Listen, I'm going to tell you something that's going to be kind of counterintuitive and going to sound kind of toxic. The reality of it is, when you want a man to fall in love with you, we need him to see you as the amazing, awesome princess that you are, fall in love with you, because that is still you. And then as he falls in love with that amazing, awesome princess that you are, he will then get to know more and more levels and layers to your personality and to your being. I want that for you. The problem is when you overshare these traumas right from the beginning, you're kind of saying, no. Don't see me as amazing and awesome. No. Don't see me as this goddess of a woman that you're imagining that I am. See me as this broken, unhealed, piece of thrown away, used up trash, that how I've been treated like garbage, how people have mistreated me, how my life is so horrible. Listen, I know that you've been through things and I know that you want to express those things, especially to a guy you're in a relationship with. I want you to express those things, but I want us to pace ourselves in the way we express to men, especially men that we're not sure yet that we're safe with. And also because we want men to build up their own fairy tale in their mind of you. The same way you'll meet a guy and the less you know about him, the hotter he is. It's the same thing for men. You want to give them a chance to fall in love with that fairy tale idea that you're a goddess. Why? Listen, it's something that you're going to do for yourself, okay? Because when he sees you as this goddess, when he sees you as this woman of abundance and love and joy, and you're just so amazing, you're like a fairy, right? That is when he will act on the relationship and approach you and date you as if you're a goddess, okay? And we need that type of energy from a man, especially at the very beginning, if he's gonna fall in love with you. Because men are gonna fall in love with their idea of you, because their idea of you is gonna lead to the actions they take towards you. The actions they take towards you will reinforce in their own mind how important you are, how much they like you, and how much they wanna be in a relationship with you. Point number 9 is about competition. I'm gonna warn you, this is gonna sound toxic, but I promise you it will help you get to where you wanna go. In order to get a man to fall in love with you, you need to show him that he is in competition with other men for access to you. Now, obviously, we want to balance this and do this in a way that is non-toxic. However, it's very important for a man to be able to take note of this firsthand. For example, when you go out to an event or a party with him, right, you're inclined to say, okay, I'm going to this event or party, even though I might know people, even though I might be friends with other people and want to chit chat with other people, I'm going to stay on his arm because I want him to feel like I only am there for him. No, no, no. I actually want you to strategically allow moments to come where maybe he goes to the bathroom or you go to the bathroom and then you guys come back, you're scattered around, he's talking to someone, and maybe someone strikes a conversation with you. Maybe a guy comes up to you and starts having a conversation with you, and maybe this is an attractive guy. These are the moments that they just happen out of coincidence, but I want you to allow them to happen. And I want you to strategically understand if he can get a chance to see another guy flirting with you, or another guy attracted to you, or another guy approaching you. This is good, especially at the beginning when we're trying to get him to be really invested here, because this is a first-hand example for him of the fact that there is competition for you, meaning only the person who puts his best foot forward will get access to you, okay? That is essentially the prize here. And the men who are unwilling to do the work, who really aren't about what they say they're about, who really don't have much to offer, will finish in second and maybe even third place, and they will never get access to you. Point number 10 is about the imbalance, specifically the information imbalance, because the person with the most information will always win in a relationship, regardless of the outcome. Meaning, whether or not you guys end up together, whether it ends in a breakup, whether it ends in you guys dating and getting married, you will win if you have the most information. Why is that? Because when you have the most information, you get to react and respond based on that, hopefully truthful information. Let me give you an example of what I mean. I'll actually give you a perfect example as it relates to what guys have been doing to you. See, when they sit down and on your first date and they ask you things like, what are you looking for? You might think that that's an innocent question, but remember, you answer this question, what are you looking for? Let's just say by answering, so I've really been looking for a man who would buy me red roses because those are my favorite roses. And I've always been looking for a man who would take me to a sushi date because I've never been on a sushi date. And I've always been looking for a man who would take me to the aquarium because I never got to go as a child. And you go into all of this amazing, awesome detail about all the things you specifically want in your dream man. That's what you're looking for. And you're just being honest about that. Now, in that scenario, his info is way outweighing your info because you spent the entire date or multiple dates talking so much about yourself, talking so much about what you want, that he now has a picture perfect, crystal clear understanding of exactly what your specific needs are. So now he can get to scrape through all of this amazing information that he just gained directly from the source and ask himself, what can I do now? What is the easiest to do? What is the easiest to present to her? And then he will present to you all the things that you said you've been asking for based on the fact that you spoke about those things when he asked you, what are you looking for? So now we understand why giving information is so powerful or can make you so powerless. Because when he gets that information of exactly what you're looking for, he gets closer to your heart and he gets to become exactly what you need. It's the same thing for you. When you get this information imbalance going on in your dating and your talking stages with men, one, it makes them feel closer to you because they're expressing and being honest with you about things about themselves, which is always going to make someone feel closer to you. And number two, it creates a scenario where you can then ask yourself, which of these things that you're discussing about what you want in a woman, what you want out of a relationship, what are those qualities and do those qualities exist in me? And if those qualities exist in me, how can I emphasize those qualities to you so that those are the things specifically about me that you see the most? Because now when he's telling you, yeah, I really want, a woman who can pick me up when I'm down because sometimes I go through a lot of stressful situations at work, and having someone that I can just vent to and be honest to about like my work life and how I'm feeling because I have to be such a strong man at work. Let's say you really get him to dump that much info on him. Now, oh, perfect. I'm already good at that and letting people talk and listening and all that good stuff. Now I know specifically whenever I see you or talk to you, I'll ask you about work and how's work doing and the stresses that you're going through at work. And I'll always make sure to emphasize how good of a listener I am when it comes to hearing about your work problems, because you've emphasized in giving me info about you that that's one of your pain points. That's one of the places in your life where you would desire the most for someone to come in and fill that void.